Welcome back to Temple Talks. I'm so excited for today's episode. I can't even tell you, I have been waiting 2 years to be able to at least start to get the research and gain clarity of the last 2 years of working with women and what I've been seeing and the patterns that have been bubbling up. And it's here, and I get to finally at least introduce this to you until my book comes out. But before I do, just know that some of this can be quite edgy, and no one's talking about it, and it could even make you feel uncomfortable. And what I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, that this is going to lead to freedom, and that there's nothing to do with shame. Shame is not welcomed here, and it's certainly not intended to criticize successful women. It's not about telling you that your life doesn't matter and the accomplishments don't matter, or that you're wrong for the life that you built. Because what I found through my own life and through the last 12 years of mentoring women is most women become successful, at least initially, by learning to override themselves. No other way. And not intentionally, not consciously. It's because at the heart of it, we want to make a difference. We want our life to matter. We have big dreams. We want to belong, and we want to feel safe. And the successful woman has figured out what parts of her will be rewarded and what parts will help her become successful and what parts of herself will not. So those not parts get suppressed, buried in a closet some way, and the responsible parts get rewarded, and she brings out more and more of those responsible parts. The productive parts get rewarded. The selfless parts get rewarded. And because these qualities are genuinely valuable, because they're beautiful qualities, no one questions them, not even us. But here's the question I want to sit with you. What if some of the very qualities that made you successful and admired are also the qualities that have led you to disconnect from yourself? Not because success is bad, not because competency is bad, not because leadership is bad, but because many women learn to override themselves. They stop learning how to listen deeply to their intuitions, listening to their bodies, to be able to override exhaustion, to be able to override disappointment, to be able to override their desire, their fear, to override that quiet voice that whispers, this isn't true for me. This doesn't feel right. And in the beginning, that ability serves them. It helps them build massive careers and money and beautiful families and lead organizations and create financial stability and heal people and dependency and success. And all those things are so good. And that is why this is so difficult to see, because this strategy works. In fact, I think it's one of the hardest truths for women to recognize, that success can become the very thing that keeps us from seeing what is missing in our life. Failure gets attention. When you're in an immense burnout or midlife crisis, it will get your attention. But this is more subtle, and it hides. Success can hide the loneliness, the grief, the resentment. It's more of a quiet exhaustion. It's not a burnout. Success can override self-abandonment, and you don't even know that you're disconnected from your desires. And in my last 2 years of researching women, what I'm finding the most is that most women at this point do not even really know what they want anymore. Because when your life is working, nobody asks those deeper questions. There's no need to. You don't ask those deeper questions. And over time, something begins to happen. The woman becomes exceptionally skilled at sensing what everyone else needs. She can anticipate the problem maybe before they arise or fix it really quickly. She can read a room, she can heal people, she can feel what other people are feeling, she can nurture, guide, solve, manage. She becomes the emotional one for everybody, the strategist, the caregiver, the leader, the one who knows always what to do, the maternal, the mother, the caregiver, and she's praised for it. It rewards her with responsibility and money and leadership and trust, and all those things are so good. And this is where I want to name what I believe is one of the great lies many women unknowingly live inside. We don't see the hidden cost. The hidden cost is that a woman can become so fluent at what everyone else needs or what everyone else wants her to be, becoming what everyone else is around her, she becomes disconnected from her own self. She knows what her children's needs, she knows what her employees needs, she knows what her community needs and her spouse needs, and suddenly she doesn't know what she wants. And there is no crisis. Things become silent inside, and time continues to pass her by, and she's not even aware of it. And when you become that woman that everyone depends on, and those strategies worked for you, and you have real positive things that you're getting from that, it's much harder to see what they're costing you. And eventually, maybe it's happening to you now or in the future, you wake up and you realize something is really missing. Maybe you're a therapist and you're helping other people heal. Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you've built a business for 20 years and now your business doesn't feel like you. Maybe you're a coach and you're coaching other people into success and you don't even know what you want. And it's really hard to admit that. Maybe you're making multiple six figures and you've explored other ways of building that income that feels true for you, but you just can't figure that out. And you have a family that's dependent on that income. You have staff that's dependent on that income. You can't just leave your business. You can't just leave your job. You can't just leave making that revenue. Maybe you're a woman leading teams, women helping other people transform their lives. And what I found was startling. So many of them didn't know what they wanted anymore. And that is the devastation that is so hard to admit to themselves. For so long, it was what would make everyone else happy, what would keep the business running, what would help you stay safe. And admitting that to yourself carries tremendous shame, because how do you admit you're lost when you're helping people, when you look successful? How do you admit something's missing when everyone sees you as the woman who has it all together, that people ask you for help? And the hidden cost, the hidden crisis is that this is so real. This is a pattern that I'm seeing so clear and no one is talking about it. Because most stories of transformation begin with a collapse. There's this great burnout, this great breakdown, divorce, a midlife crisis, the burning of parts, the dark night of the soul, then the rising of the phoenix. So what happens when your life doesn't collapse? What happens when everything still works? And that is what I'm speaking to today, is things go silent inside and you keep going because everything is working. Your business is working, your marriage is functional, your children are healthy, your bank account is healthy, you have a strong reputation, yet something inside of you knows something's missing, that you've become a stranger to yourself. You don't know your desires. And this is why I say you don't lose yourself in chaos. For this woman that I'm speaking to today, you lost yourself in competence. And that kind of losing yourself is so much harder to recognize because we are rewarded for it. It looks so put together and beautiful. It looks responsible and admirable, successful. It looks like leadership. It looks like maturity. It looks like doing everything right. But underneath there is an enormous grief that you can't talk about. The grief of realizing that the very qualities that help you be successful may also have been the ones disconnected you from critical, beautiful parts of yourself. Your wildness, when you don't have to be perfect and don't have to be put all together. Your desire, your creativity, your dreams. And maybe after listening to this, or you already had some stirring and you recognize that your soul is asking a question that you haven't been able to answer. And that is what I've been doing with women for the last 2 years, because their old strategies, your old strategies, don't work. They can't answer this question of, what are my desires? What do I really want? Who am I? How do I get from under this? Who am I when I'm no longer performing, when I'm being the person who everyone else wants me to be, when I'm being the one that's helping everyone else? Not what I should be, not what I should do, not what is expected, not what makes sense. That's a tricky one. Sometimes we have to do things that don't make sense because they're true for us. And if this is where you find yourself today, I want you to hear something. That unlike that midlife crisis, the phoenix rising, you don't have to burn your life down. You don't need to quit your business. Maybe this stuff will happen at some point, but it isn't the answer. It isn't the next step. You don't need to leave your marriage. You don't need to stop making the multiple six figures. You don't need to make some dramatic declaration. The path back to yourself is usually so much quieter than that. It begins with one truth, just one thing, one honest moment, one place where you stop abandoning yourself. You make that deep, deep commitment to no longer abandoning yourself above all else. And you'll notice as time goes on, that commitment is not easy. It will be the hardest thing that you've ever had to do. It's the one place where you admit what you actually feel. And you have to slow down enough, not for just a week, a month, but it's a whole period, 6 months, a year of no longer building, growing, doing. Just take a pause to feel what feels good, and to eventually learn how to trust that. One place where you stop making everyone else's needs more important than your own soul. Because healing isn't becoming someone new. It's remembering who you were before you learned that being useful was more valuable than being true. And this is the work that I carry so deeply about, that there is such a pattern happening that isn't being talked about. Helping women recover parts that they abandoned long ago to belong, to feel safe, to succeed. Helping women feel what is true for them. And not because success is bad, not because leadership is bad, not because any of those things were ever meant to replace you. The culture calls you successful, and it will be your soul that calls you home. And that journey begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself and you start telling the truth. And we need more women to speak on this and tell the truth. One truth at a time.